Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about The Handmaid's Tale, Season 1, Episode 9. It's called The Bridge. Full spoilers for the episode, as always. First things first, this is the first episode without flashbacks.
Yeah, it was strange, wasn't it?
And I never even noticed there was no flashbacks until we got that little dream sequence where it showed you some glimpses of flashbacks that we'd already seen, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's not been flashbacks in this one.
No, I noticed pretty early on because I was thinking going into it, I was like, right, who are the flashbacks going to be this week?
Yeah, yeah.
And then I got about 10 minutes or so in, I was like, oh, there aren't any.
I think it's because we followed Janine, like doing her plot, and that maybe it was instead of flashbacks.
It probably was, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that. Do you know what? I appreciate that. I appreciate that they were doing flashbacks with off Glenn or Offred, sorry, for the first half of the season, and they like it was a very good device. It was just telling us a lot about her as a character, a lot about the world. Then they shifted to other characters to tell us more about them, but also again more about the world and the mythology of the show that we're in. But now we got to this episode, it was like, well, we don't need more flashbacks right now. Maybe we'll get more later, but they didn't feel the need to do their format just for the
Yeah,
sake of
they're
doing
not
the
beholden
format.
to it.
Yeah.
I felt the same just when we shifted away from Offred's flashbacks
Mm.
because it was like, all right, we've told the story with her that we need to for now.
Yeah, I mean,
We
it could be
don't
more
need,
later.
yeah,
But,
yeah,
yeah.
they're not going to do it just for the sake of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's good. It shows restraint. I appreciate that. And this again was a very focused episode. This was. What do we tackle first? We'll tackle the Offred story. We'll save Janine till the till last. So Offred basically tries to make like, oh, I want to help Mayday, and she's the other one says nothing. But then the next day it's okay. There was too many years. Right, you went to the Jezebels. Get a package for us. Talk to so and so at the bar. Get the package. Bring it back. Tonight would be good. And of course, she's quite rightly goes, tonight? Like, how much power do you think I have in the house? um, which like, leads to the sort of the first very fascinating scene for me in this episode. Well, maybe not the first one, but the first one in this plot specifically that was really fascinating to me was when she goes to the commander and basically has to flirt with them and sort of drive him in the direction of going back to the Jezebels sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and it kind of shows in a way she does have power. Obviously, it's not what you typically think of, and obviously it comes with caveats, but she does get what she wants ultimately.
To an extent, but I actually read it from a different direction. I read it as this was society was making her become what they were saying she was, in a weird
Mm.
way, because they always talk about how, oh, if anything, if a man is tempted to do anything, it's the woman's fault. Like she's being the cheat, the one who's tricking him into doing something. And it was almost like, to me, this was, oh no, that she's actually having to do what they think of women just to achieve something right now. They've actually forced her into this corner.
I get what you're saying. I was just reading it as she was using their expectations so that she could use it, but so she gets what she wants. It
Well,
is
yeah,
a
it's the
form
both.
of
It's both,
power.
though. Like the one
Yeah,
doesn't negate the other. I
yeah,
think she's playing to his ego. She's playing to the, oh, you like giving me treats. You like feeling powerful because you allowed me to do this. So I'm going to play that up. I'm going to
yeah,
make you think I'm happy about it and sort of goad them into doing it again. And there's that great moment where he says, "Oh, well, we'll have to wait, of course." And you think, "Oh, it's not going to be tonight." And he says, "Until everyone's went to bed, till the house is settled for the night." And you're like, "Oh, she did get exactly what she wanted. It is exactly tonight.
yeah.
Excellent." And of course, you feel like that moment when she's when they're in the car again, and Nick's kind of looking back at the mirror again. He's looking in. He's feeling kind of awkward and stuff. And there's that moment where he says, "Oh, I'm glad you suggested an encore." And there's just that moment where Nick looks back and she makes eye contact with him. It's like, "Yep, this was me. I decided this."
Yeah,
And obviously she didn't do any of this to make Nick feel bad, but
it's a byproduct.
yeah, it's just this little moment. It's like, "Yep, deal with it." She doesn't seem guilty in this moment because of how he acted
Yeah,
last time. And I thought that was fun. There was very little about this show that I would describe as fun. I'd use that
but it
word.
does have moments every so often, doesn't it?
It does have moments, yeah. Um, so that was really cool. But so they go to the thing, and again, it keeps playing with our expectations, and it's like this suspense of he just casually drops, "Oh, we're going straight up to the room. We're not going to the bar."
Yeah.
And it's like, oh wait, this is all for nothing. She's going to go through all this, and she's basically willingly offered herself for sex so she can maybe get to this package and help the resistance, help Mayday, and she may not even get the chance.
Yeah.
And of course, so later on after the sex scene, which obviously cuts from the other sex scene and the other plot, which we'll talk about later, but very sort of not ironic, but very sort of poignant cut to
yeah, it just
this sex
shows
scene.
the differences, doesn't it?
Yeah, and she's sort of like completely not interested in what's going on, and then he looks at her and she has to put the face on and fake it and make
Yeah,
a
it
little
makes
bit
me
of
laugh.
noise.
She just pulls his head down, so that he can't see her face,
Yeah.
so that she doesn't have to.
Yeah, and obviously afterwards he's like, "Oh, you can make noise here, you can enjoy it here," and obviously we know she's not making noise because she's not actually enjoying anything. She's just going through the
Yeah,
motions.
yeah. It's the bit where he says, "Oh, you can be free here," and she's like, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah, she's like, "I'll remember that for next time."
Yeah,
And it sounds so cold because it is a complete mirage of freedom. It's not real at all.
yeah,
But of course, the next big sort of moment of suspense is like, "Oh, I know why you're here. I'm not a fool. I pay attention." It's like you were here to see someone, and I actually knew where this was going. It was kind
yeah,
of obvious in the last episode who she was sort of paying attention to. So he brings up Moira, and like brings her in, and he almost is like, "Oh, I know her too." Like he's almost like he's going for a threesome at this point.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's the implication.
Yeah, and obviously, even before we get to the scene with them afterwards, like I love Offred's reaction and how she almost drops the entire like act. She just like, no, we're not friends like that. Like
Yeah.
there's this added element of horror. It's almost like because Moira's seeing her here and her weakness and her like it's like for the first time, maybe not the first time, but certainly she's almost become used to everything she has to go through in this world. That having Moira, a person from her past, seeing her in the bed like this, is making her feel shame.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Yeah, and it's this great moment of like this recognition on both their faces, but they both feel awful. But then he's like, "Oh, you catch up while I go and I wash up," and they start to talking, and she reveals why she's there, and I need the package from the bar. And Moira's like, "Wait, no, stop it! Like, stop this! Do what they say. We have to.
Yep.
We can't escape." And it's continuing from what she said last time about how you can't get out of Gilead. You just have to deal with it. You have to be here and follow the rules, and obviously, Offred's feeling rebellious at this point, given everything that's happened. Needless
Yeah.
to say, and she brings up the one thing that I think hurts Moira. She's like, "Yeah, but what about Hannah? You said we were going to find her, and you've given
Yeah.
up." And I think that's really what the crux of this scene is that Moira had given up. We'd always seen her to be the rebellious one, to be the
But
one
she'd been broken,
Yeah.
even in this place that is supposed to be freer.
yeah.
It was this that's broken her essentially.
She was always the more foul-mouthed one. She would always speak her mind first. We'd seen this repeatedly in the flashbacks with her, with Luke, with everyone, and she had given up, and it was almost like this, like another blow. And this show likes to do this, where it constantly gives you like, just when you think there's a little bit of hope, no, here's more misery, here's more reasons to feel bad.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that it's at Jezebels that she was broken. It's the idea that when they're out in society and they're with their commanders, they're so repressed that they kind of have to fight back. Whereas this slight little bit of freedom where they're given, they can have drugs and alcohol and whatever.
It feels
Where
worse almost, yeah.
Yeah, but it's almost just enough where they go, okay, we can accept this. Where there's just enough for them not to fight back.
Yeah, and that just makes them feel worse in the end once they realise that that's
Yeah, exactly.
where they are and what they're doing. And it has this really awful sort of depressing ending to this scene where like she's crying when she leaves and she tells her to go and she's like, "Oh, you can get the package for me," and she just refuses. Like, "No, like we're not doing this." And it is this heartbreaking scene. Like you really get this sense, especially obviously from, we'll talk about Moira's perspective when we get to the end because obviously that comes in, but Offred's perspective here, it really feels like the one person she knew from before, and she almost had this hope because she's seen her again last episode, that this almost like person she looked up to, this person who was an inspiration to her to fight and to be strong, that the fact that she is broken is, I mean, that's why she's crying so much. It's not just that her friend won't help her, it's that she is so broken. She is the person she was trying to live up to an extent,
Yeah,
and
I
it's
think
it's gone now.
that's part of why she went to Mayday in the first place. At the start of this episode,
Mm.
is that she'd seen Moira and she remembered, like, no, we could fight back. We did try before.
Yeah, yeah. And then again, this just feels like it's been taken away from her. It's just, and she feels awful. And then, of course, the way the commander just kind of like, pull yourself together, we need to leave. It's like he just doesn't care about what she's crying about. It's like, get over it. All of it's just a facade of what like he's
Yeah,
supposed to care. He's pretending he cares, but he
yeah, but he
doesn't.
doesn't.
Yeah. Which interestingly, I suppose we should talk about Serena Joy's side of this plot because she kind of is feeling down herself, partly because Janine's like sort of they have this ceremony at the start where they've passed over the baby to the actual mother, the commander's wife, and she's sort of a bit melancholic because she doesn't have a baby yet because she feels that she's been unappreciative of having a baby. And the Martha like finds her in the kitchen like, looking for booze, and they make with the nice, and she does let it slip that she thinks the commander's not here. So I thought the commander had returned, and she's like, wait, the commander was in his room. Wait, and there's
Yeah.
this moment, and they don't talk about it. They just move on because you meet with the rituals, meet with the ceremony, and the niceties and everything they do. But Serena Joy actually kind of puts out kind of a little, much like the commander lets Offred away with something that she's not meant to do. It's like, hey, pour me a drink. You have one too. And neither of them are supposed to be drinking. If I'm understanding the world right, I don't even think Serena Joy is supposed to be having drink. But she's like, no, I'll do it, but you can have one too. And they have this moment. But even this,
I do think it's interesting. I think Serena Joy's she's kind of mellowed since we had that episode with her flashbacks. She's kind of mellowed to the audience in the sense that we see her with the friend with the baby this time, and she's very much being a good person. Like she's actually going, hey, you should just be
do
nicer.
this, because there was this thing where this other woman, I think it was a Martha, comes up and looks at the baby, and it seems like once they have a baby, they have like an armed guard following them at all times because that guy was just sort of following along.
Yeah, I assume in public, just because obviously the babies are the future, can't be too careful.
But he stepped in and was like, "Ma'am, piss off." Basically, was his thing.
Yeah.
And Serena Joy is the one who's like, "Oh, she was just saying hello to the baby," and like the other one was like, "Oh, you just
Can't be too careful."
Can't be too careful." Yeah, but yeah, even that small act, it's like she's becoming more of a human being to us.
Yeah, but between that and obviously we got the gift to Offred last episode.
Although there's a lot of very dark speculation as to the intent of that gift.
Yeah, there is.
That said, given this episode, I'm inclined to go more towards my optimistic interpretation of the gift.
I am as well, because like I said, the way she was talking with the Martha, she was just talking to her like a person, not like a servant. Like we sort of saw her talking down to all her staff early on.
It was that, and also when the other wife said to her at the end about what's your husband? Men don't change. Like it was kind of the whole implication, like, oh, we knew what happened with your last handmaid. Like it felt less like she was involved with like helping her kill herself than maybe we were speculating at some point before.
Yeah,
kind of thing. So, but no. This scene with the Martha though, it goes into this thing where we find out that Martha had a son, and he died when he was 19 in the war that led to this, and so again the show's very good at playing with the awkward silences between the statements and sort of letting it sink in. And maybe the double meanings there. And Serena Joy sort of responds by saying, "Oh well, praise him for his sacrifice." And they didn't actually bring it up in the scene, but I am convinced he fought on the other side. He did not fight for this world. He fought against it. I am willing to bet you money.
It's likely. I was thinking that, and you can see she's thinking it because she doesn't ask.
Yeah. She just
she doesn't dare ask because if then she has to give a certain response. Yeah. But if she doesn't ask, she can go, well, he did his duty, so to speak.
Yeah, regardless of what side it was, we can just, and they just quietly stand there and finish their drink, and it's this moment of connection. It's this because we keep talking about how the wives are also trapped and they also have all these restrictions. They're also not free, not really, and it's just kind of this moment of like even if they were on opposite sides, I almost wonder if Serena Joy is like gradually getting to a point where she's like, what did I help do?
I think it's interesting as well that this is kind of the most free we've seen her, or at least like she's speaking the most openly, And
Yeah.
it's when the commander's not in the house, it's when she is the power of the house at the moment.
We seem to have tangented into Serena Joy's plot here, so I just want to keep going because
Yeah.
we see that scene at the end after everything else has happened, where she storms into where his like study is, goes to the door, and it tells you how much this show has like conditioned me to like what they're allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do. That I audibly let a little gasp as she opened the doors and walked in. It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
she went in, and like she's taking back power, and
She doesn't care anymore.
I feel like as she tries to take back power, he might resist, and he might become more commanding to her and like no know your place kind of idea. And I feel like that's when maybe she'll greater realize like, oh wait a minute, like maybe I have to help fight back now kind of thing. Maybe not in those in those simplistic terms, but just the idea that that'll spark the revolution in her mind kind of idea.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
But no, very good stuff. But so back to Offred, who comes home, and that kind of actually wraps up her on her own, and everything else connects to the Janine plot.
After that, it's the Janine stuff.
Because she has that dream where she's dreaming of her past life, and it's these moments of happiness, and then it's like thoroughly interrupted by Serena grabbing her and like shaking her, wake up, and we see that the black van driving afterwards, and I'm like, wait, are they coming? Is this because Nick spoke to the other eye, the Martha at the Jezebels?
It was really a case of what's going on. She's like, you need to come now. Like whatever is going on, it's clearly speed is urgent.
Yeah, I really thought, oh, maybe the eyes are coming for. I thought the eyes were coming for her. She'd be taken away, but then she'd be pregnant, and that'd be how they'd have to let her back to the house.
Yeah, because they did ask if she'd like. She was like, oh, she asked for her rags yet this month.
Yeah, so no, I think like my mind was just going in circles with possibilities, but of course it turned out to be Janine. So Janine at the start had to give up her baby. She was very reluctant, of course, and she even said to Offred on the way out, because all the handmaids lined up in this little sort of almost red carpet-esque sort of thing to the van. She's going off to her new house, her new family, to hopefully birth another man's child, and obviously Janine goes up and hugs Offred as she passes her, and Offred even does she even like oversteps her boundaries a little bit, and she's like, Aunt Lydia, and Aunt Lydia's like, what? Like, how dare you come out and speak to me? It's like, does she seem okay? And she just genuinely asks, and Aunt Lydia's doing the whole oh, she should be an inspiration to you. She's stronger than you think, and she's moving on gracefully. And of course, no, she's not. She's obviously, I think her story's been building to tragedy the entire season. You can kind of see it. She's being delusional. She's been all these things, and she
was always a bit too unstable to function in this society, wasn't she?
Oh, absolutely. And she even says to Offred, "Oh, he's going to come for me," because remember she spoke to her a few episodes ago about how the commander wants to take her and run away and be a happy family with the kid and all the rest of it. And we know that's a lie. It just feels like a lie. And we see her at her new house, and she's going, and it almost like the ceremony where she comes in, and and to be fair, the wife has been very nice to her, like nicer than we've seen any of the other wives been. She's like, oh, come on, honey, like lie down, and we're in this together, and she's been very, very like sort of.
She seems almost genuine.
Yeah, it did feel kind of genuine, and I wonder if that's a byproduct of the fact that they know she successfully had a baby with another commander.
It could be, or it could be a case that they're just better people.
Maybe
they just don't see her as a tool. They're like, no, she's still a person. She's just fulfilling this role as well.
But she is horrified about what's happening to her, possibly more than she's ever been in any previous ceremonies. We've never seen her in a ceremony before, but just comparing it to Offred's various ceremonies we've seen, she's really horrified. And I think to me that read as it's because if she does have a baby, she's now felt the pain of it being taken away, of her daughter being pulled away from her. Like that almost it makes it worse than it ever was before, knowing what the end result might be, because she's had to go through that. And she freaks out, and she's like, "Oh, where's Warren? Is he coming for me?" Because I think she's off Daniel. I think the new name was
Daniel now. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the last we see of her until Offred's woken up and she's taken out to the bridge, and we see Janine on the edge of the bridge with the baby, and the commander and the wife are shouting at her. They're pretending to be nice, but again, it's an act. It's trying to just talk her back off the edge of the bridge. And she starts shouting out all the things, like, I did all these extra things for you that the wife's not meant to know about, which gets him into trouble because we see the eyes coming to speak to him at the end.
Yeah, they take him away.
But, it's all very tense, and Lydia, and I think this maybe shows Lydia, despite the fact that she is clearly, like, she's poked out people's eyes for talking back to her. Like, she's clearly over a line. She's not sympathetic necessarily, but we've spoken about how she does actually seem to care about her cattle, if you will.
Yeah, I think it's not that she's not evil. She is just a genuine believer and thinks she's doing right. Whereas obviously a lot of the commanders are hypocrites, and we see that. Whereas Lydia I think she genuinely believes she is doing the right thing.
Yeah, I can see that. But she has this idea. She's the one who thinks, we'll get Offred because they're friends. She uses that word, and I almost didn't think before this they were even allowed to have friends. But she uses it. She's like, no, they're friends. Let her speak to her. And then there's that other great moment going back to the Serena Joy stuff with the commander, where the commander says to the other guy, "No, let her try." It's like he's sticking up for her, and it cuts to Serena Joy's face, and she's like, Why is he stepping in to kind of speak up for her? Because as much as we know he is a complete hypocrite, as much as we see that he doesn't really care for her, there is maybe kind of partly a connection there where he does feel the need to come in and say that.
Well, I think he does have a connection, because that's kind of his whole objective was he was struggling because he had no connection.
Yeah, he still wants to be the one in power. He still wants to have her to be second class, as it were, but he does have a connection.
There is a connection of some sort there, because that's what he needs.
And she recognises that, and combine that with what the other wife says to her afterwards. You can see why Serena's starting to put things together. But yeah, so Offred comes up, and actually I want to point out like that the music in this scene was fantastic. It was also fantastic earlier on. It was the car ride home after the Moira scene. Where she's just in the car and she just feels broken. The music in both these scenes was fantastic. Like
some of the best it's been all season.
Yeah, really exceptional. It was really putting in the emotion of the scene. And here again, it was this. There was a little bit of the female vocals coming in the
and then this nice piano.
Yeah,
big massive reverb on it. Sounded great.
And she comes up and she talks to her, and she calls her Janine, and she said it kind of quietly, but I almost like the idea that she would have the balls. Pardon the expression. She would have the balls here to just say Janine in front of everyone.
And honestly, I think they'd let her get away with it just out of desperation.
Yeah.
But I think they'd overlook it because they're like, you do what you need to do to get her and get that baby down. I think that's what they're all thinking at this point.
And I'll be honest, the scene was somewhat mapped out in the sense that I predicted she'll give the baby up, but she's still going to jump.
Yeah.
I kind of seen it going that way right from the start, but it didn't really matter because the entire thing, like the emotion in the scene, and Offred trying to fight and be like, no, you have to, like, we're going to do all these things will go back to normal, even if she believes it or not. Maybe she has to believe it because she does have a daughter, and she's like, because I actually think this scene subverted some tropes here with suicide scenes, because you know how you have the person up on the ledge and like, I'm going to kill myself, and someone tries to talk them down. I feel like I've never actually seen a scene like this where the person about to jump turns around and says, join me. Jump as well.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think I've ever seen that before.
And I think it works because there is a moment of contemplation where it's like, maybe it wowould be easier. And it works because she is at this most broken point that we've seen her since the start of the show.
It works because not only is it like an interest... The reason why it works is because it's like, Offred... Probably, it's not a bad idea. Like, we see that handmaids want to kill themselves, and she probably would. And then the reason she gives, like, she thinks about it, and she's like, no, I can't, because I might get my daughter back. I have to survive for her if I might find her, kind of thing. By the way, I'm telling you now that the scene where we finally see her reunited with Hannah is going to break me. I can just tell you that it's going to do it right now.
Probably is, yeah. You're right.
Especially if she's been assimilated to the new ways. Yeah.
That's the question. Like, there's no guarantee that she'll be a handmaid either. There's no guarantee that this is genetic.
I mean, it depends how. Given how old she is, she might still just be in school. But the idea that they've made her a believer, that she believes in this society, kind of thing.
Yeah. Like she's on track to become like an aunt or something.
Yeah, if not a handmaid herself. Yeah, depending on biology. But yeah, it just oofed. But no, like the scene works. Like when she turns around and says, "Join me," like you even before you look at Offred's face, like I buy that she would maybe want to at this point.
Yeah, like I say, it's clearly something that a lot of them would think about, as it's an easy way out of this horrific life.
She even says it, join me and we'll be free.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll be
And
free. Yeah.
and combine that, like if you'd said that at any point, I think any of them would consider it.
Yeah.
But given how broken she was from the previous scenes with Moira, and like I say, this is probably the worst state of mind she's been in since like the first couple of episodes.
Which is saying something.
Yeah. So they're like the she would really consider it at that point. You have to think.
Yeah. And obviously everything builds up. You know, in the last episode she was in the cupboard and she looked distraught. But we've seen her look broken so many times, and
Yeah.
this is like, and it's almost the hope that she had. Oh, maybe I can help. Maybe I can help Mayday fight. And then like Moira just like it just didn't work. Like she didn't get a chance to do it. And like she's at this point, and I just want to point out the beautiful shot as well. It's just as Offred's walking up to her, the camera goes behind Janine, and it's just you just see the red cloak in the hood.
It's great, isn't
Looking
it?
out at the cold ocean. In fact, that reminds me, one of the little funny lines is when she speaks to the other handmaid earlier on, she's like, "Oh, we've been blessed with good weather." She's like, "It's freezing." She's like, "It's
Yeah.
freezing, bitch. Shut up." Oh, dear. But no, fantastic scene. Her jumping's great. The way everyone sort of rushes and everyone, it's in slow motion, and Offred's just like standing there with the baby as everyone's rushing to the edge until the wife comes up and takes the baby from her. But the whole thing's just expertly done, and it's another example that this show, almost every episode there's been a standout scene where it's just like edge of your seat emotional storytelling.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's a credit to it that obviously it's had this overall narrative of a season, but every episode has maintained its own focus and felt like it's had an episodic thing.
Yeah, each episode's felt very focused. I think, I honestly think this has been a masterclass in TV writing. Just
Oh, absolutely.
and a lot of other ways too, sure, but like certainly just from the point of structuring it and how each episode has felt like fulfilling in its own as a meal, but it's had an
Yeah, I
overarching
think
thing.
like, a lot of shows struggle to do both. Like a lot of shows will have like either a great overall narrative or each episode will be great, but to have
Yeah.
both, it's something that's very rare.
Yeah, or you at the complete opposite end of the spectrum is Iron Fist.
Which yeah, obviously that has
Neither. Yeah, so but no, great scene, and obviously we're broken at this point. We had the scene with Serena Joy, but we have Offred go to the butcher. She's like, getting meat for, and she can barely say the phrases. She's like struggling to speak. She is beyond broken at this point. She is at our worst possible moment, and the butcher's like, "Oh, I've got a good cut for the commander," and he pulls out the meat, but he also pulls out another box and gives her both things, and it cuts to the butcher, like his side of the shot, and I know he's just like a bit character we're probably never going to see again, but I think for the 10 seconds of screen time he had, his acting was perfect.
Yeah, just like the almost subtle smiles, like I'm here.
Yeah, it's like there's like, I'm here to help. There's someone, you've got an ally. Like I know things are bad, but I'm trying. Like he's part of the resistance.
It's like, look, some of us men are on your side too, as well. Like,
Yeah.
because her, obviously, the only one she's interacted with are women.
Yeah, and obviously, like even though Nick's sympathetic with her, he's still clearly being an eye. He's talking to the Martha.
Right, exactly.
He's still clearly doing that side of things. But no, just the look in his face, the little smile. It's like, hey, we can do something. And it's just kind of perfect. It's exactly what she needs. And of course, she finds a spot afterwards, and she pulls out the little note. And I cannot tell you how much I laughed at the praise be bitch. Here's your damn package. And it's uplifting. And I actually thought the episode was just going to end there. I thought it was going to cut to the title.
That's the moment. A lot of these episodes have ended on a moment of hope.
Yeah.
You know, like I think was it last time we had her in the cupboard. You know, you're not alone.
Yeah.
Like it's a moment of hope for maybe not for her, but for someone else. And a lot of them have had that. And I thought, okay, this is that moment of hope.
But no, it cuts to how this happened. It cuts to how because I would have accepted that she just found a way to get the package to someone who would take it to the butcher. Like I wouldn't.
Yeah, I'd buy that. She'd know who's sympathetic because she's in there and she sees them all, and you know.
Like I would have been fine with it. But then we cut to this flashback essentially of how it went down, and we see Moira grab something out of the toilet, like this big. It's not actually a weapon. It's just something she's using as a weapon. It's like a part of a thing.
It's very reminiscent to when they did their escape before.
I thought that.
Out the toilet.
I thought that because even the way they dress up as well. But we just see her go into the room, and then we see her open the door, and she's dressed as the Eye in the van, and she's just on her own. She's some blood in her hand, and she's just she has a look in her face. It's like she's reignited who she is. She's become Moira again, and it's
Yeah.
because of her encounter with Offred. It was almost like she didn't realize she was broken. She didn't realize she'd given up until
Yeah.
she saw June. Until she saw June, and she had that conversation, and she realized that she had given up fighting.
Yeah.
And it is kind of about inspiring everyone else. We talk a lot about whenever we talk about superhero movies, we talk about how they're there to inspire everyone else and how why that's important. And it's kind of like here, no, they're their own superheroes. They have to inspire each
Yeah,
other.
they are all inspiring each other. It is this kind of
Yeah.
line, 'cause obviously Moira inspired her at some point, and it like even to some degree Janine has inspired her, but now
Yeah.
she's inspired Moira,
Which,
and
by
it
the
all
way,
go around.
Janine's not dead. She's lying in a
she's
hospital
not.
bed. So and I wonder if that's how we're going to end up with some more off Glen finally. I've been missing some off Glen ever since her rampage. Maybe we'll never see her again, but I
Maybe we
really
won't, but you want more, don't you?
I do want more. I want some more off Glen. But no, that's how we end it. We end it with Moira finding herself again. It's like
Yeah, she just smiles into the we see it in the mirror.
yeah, she's Moira. It's almost like Batman putting on his cape again after years of not being Batman. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, this does, because obviously it's very very similar to the escape attempt before,
Yeah.
and it feels like no, it worked then. You know, she got as far as she did. Why not again? Why not do the same again? Basically,
And it makes me wonder, like in the finale, because next week's the finale. We're hitting the end of the
I
season.
know.
It makes me wonder. Okay, what is Moira's story going to be? Is she going to make it out? Is she going to get to the look and stuff, or is she going to be? Because I imagine she can't pretend to be a man for too long. Because I mean, essentially that's what she's doing right now in the outfit
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
car.
But it's you think it's going to fail when she gets to checkpoints?
Exactly,
Any
yeah.
severe checkpoints anyway that she won't stand up to that much scrutiny.
No, so I just like how far she's going to get. Is it going to end in misery? I'm still kind of half expecting the final cliffhanger to be that Offred's pregnant.
I am too.
It just kind of makes a lot of sense for it to be that. But no, they've done a great job crafting this season. It really feels like we're getting into the finale. Like this felt like a big kind of moment where we have a main character who's on the run, as it were, or
Yeah,
out
and
of the
again,
system.
it's ending on another moment of hope. It's no, we can do this. We can fight back, and we can be who we are.
Yeah. So no, great episode. And I say
Was-
that every week, but this was one of the best.
It has consistently. You can say that like all of them. Like, it's one of the best. It's like, damn it, it's going to be really hard to actually pick and choose to rank between them.
Yeah, see when we get to the end of the year and we're doing our top 10 episodes of the year, and we limit ourselves to one per show. Oof.
Yeah, like I don't know at this point out of the 9 we've had. I don't know what I'd pick because they've been very consistent.
They have been. There's maybe been one or two that weren't as amazeballs, but they were never bad, certainly. And like,
Yeah, they're all very, very close together, though, aren't they? In terms
Yeah.
of like maybe there's 2 or 3 that you go, okay, those are the weaker ones, but then all the rest of them, it's like that other 6, 7.
but it's almost like they're only the weaker ones because they just happen to be at that part of the story,
Yeah,
kind of thing. Whenever they have an important part of the story, they knock it out of the park. It's insane. But that is Handmaid's Tale episode 9. Let us know what you think of the episode in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Helps us out. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fudge. You can also head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv if you want to support the channel and throw us a couple of dollars. You can do that in there and see some of the bonuses that are there. But that is us, guys. So thank you very much for watching. Once again, have you got any vanilla?